to be completely honest with you, and Game and Fish may get a little butthurt for me saying this. I don't think they are proactive enough in this. I saw one of the biologists out there, and I'm not going to name him because it's not going to be beneficial. But I talked to one of the biologists, and I asked him, I was like, hey, man, I'm seeing more boats than ever. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, we're not worried about it. Wait a second, what?
Like, kind of instantly, he was like,
He just brushed it off.
yeah, no big deal.
He's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I was like, bro, I've been here for 10 years, which I know there's people longer than that, but I've never seen days in the end of February be this tough.
You talked about, over the last couple of years, you've seen this year, you've seen so many more boats even than last year.
Right.
And 2 years before that. What do you think about, like, the future of walleye fishing? Is that, like, are those sustainable numbers? Like, or are there things that people should be thinking about or doing to help keep the walleye fisheries intact?
That is a phenomenal question. And it's not a simple answer. So, a couple of reasons. One, the science behind how walleye spawn. And I got to kind of nerd out for a minute. So bear with me here as we nerd out on walleye, right?
Okay.
So the way that a walleye spawns, the female will run up to the shoal or the pea drive or whatever, right, in the current. She will get up there and puts off a hormone that lets the 8 to 12 male fish around her know, okay, Jim, do your thing. So they will push her around, roll her, push on her belly to have her deposit the eggs. They will then fertilize the eggs, fertilize the water around the eggs, in turn fertilizing the eggs. Those eggs will drift down, land in the bottom. They have to have 48 hours of current, consistent current to keep oxygen going through those eggs for them to be viable. Okay.
So if they stop and they stop moving, they're not going to get fresh oxygen coming into the egg.
If the current stops moving over top of them.
Okay.
So on the beaver tailwaters, if Beaver Dam stops generating, every egg that was spawned that day, dead. Done for. Zero chance of it surviving. Zero. That's a scientific answer. That's 0% survivability.
Wow.
On the flip side of that, let's take the headwaters of Beaver Lake, right? So the headwaters of the White River. That is a free-flowing river into that lake, but it's a very muddy fishery. Those eggs get on the bottom, they get silted over. You got all that dirty water flowing over them.
Right.
As that sediment settles, they're now covered up in sediment. They no longer have oxygen. Even if that egg hatches into fry, according to Michigan and Wisconsin, there's only about 10% survivability of, like, 10% live from fry to sexual maturity at 17 to 20 inches.
Okay.
Now, on the flip side of that, to make those numbers not so intimidating, a 20-inch female, according to Wisconsin DNR, will have roughly 50,000 eggs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So that 12-pound female that we released last week, guesstimating 350, 400,000 eggs.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of eggs there.
Yeah.
But let's say that female, that 12-pound female, deposited her eggs, and 6 hours later, they turn the generator off for 12 hours. Those eggs are not going to survive.
Yeah.
So Arkansas and Missouri, Department of Conservation, Game and Fish, they will come down and shock from Hausman. They'll launch their boat at Hausman, and they will shock all the, they'll catch brooder females. They'll take them back to the lab or the hatchery or whatever, artificially spawn them in the lab, and then at finger length, so at roughly 3 inches, they will restock those. And here's where it gets weird, right? So that's part of it, where whether a fisherman is conservation minded or not, whether they release those big females or not, it's, in my mind, every female that's released is one more that has the chance to spawn. And we have the chance, like right now, they haven't shut the dam off for 3 days. So all those fish that have spawned in the last 3 days, there's a solid chance that those eggs will make it.
Yeah.
So every female that I've released in the last 3 days, there's a pretty solid chance that those eggs made it, right?
Yeah.
Or at least 10% of them.
Yeah, they've got a fighting chance.
Yeah. So, and I only know these numbers. I don't know the most recent numbers. I think it was 2019 was the most recent numbers. Arkansas Game and Fish only released 300,000 walleye, which at first it's like, oh, wow, that's a lot of fingerlings.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is, until you think that that's only one 12-pound female.
Mm-hmm.
So where the heck did all those others go?
Mm. Yeah, that's true.
Where?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that.
Hmm.
Now, Missouri also stocks, but Beaver Lake, they just got stocked. I think it was 2020. And I think they stocked them at the south end of the lake, and then they stocked them at Prairie Creek. And I think they stocked them, and don't quote me on these numbers, but I think it was like 300,000 or 250, 300,000 there as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going off these numbers of even a 20-inch female has 50,000 eggs, I know how, I don't know the exact number, but they took about 70 mature females.
Yeah.
26-inch plus females. Well, let's say for the sake of math, they're
Yeah.
100,000 eggs apiece, which we know they're more.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of unaccounted for walleye.
Yeah, that is the numbers don't add up.
Right. So is it sustainable? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen the fishery improve, but I've also never seen pressure like this.
Yeah.
I don't know what Game and Fish is going to do to counteract that. Right now, to be completely honest with you, and Game and Fish may get a little butthurt for me saying this. If I'm that popular, I don't know. They may not even hear me say this. They may not care. I don't know.
You never know.
I don't think they are proactive enough in this, because when I saw one of the biologists out there, and I'm not going to name him because it's not going to be beneficial. But I talked to one of the biologists, and I asked him, I was like, hey man, I'm seeing more boats than ever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, we're not worried about it. Wait a second, what?
Like kind of instantly, he was
He
like,
just brushed it off.
yeah, no big deal.
He's like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
I was like, bro, I've been here for 10 years, which I know there's people longer than that, but I've never seen days in the end of February be this tough.
Yeah.
I've never seen, I boated 8 walleye today. 3 of those had been caught recently and had holes in their mouth. And these were 17-inch fish. They'd never ran up the river before. So these aren't holes from last year. They'd been caught in the last week probably. And one of them still had a painted jig head in its mouth. So out of the 8, 50% of those had been caught probably in the last week. And the only reason they were back in the river is because they were short. So I personally am concerned, not freaking out by any means, because I think we've got the ability to kind of play catch up.
Yeah.
You know, in 5 years, if we go, oh crap, we screwed up, we should have been paying better attention.
Right.
We have the ability to go, all right, you know what, we're going to go catch 150, and we're going to put every one of those fry back in here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take 3 years. So now we're 8 years out.
Yeah.
But we
be okay.
fixed the issue.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's sustainable in that source, but it's maybe not sustainable in the fact that if we don't get more people, I've gotten more hate over releasing that 12-pound walleye. I mean, I've gotten messages, I've got phone calls, I've gotten 2 a.m. drunk texts from people from Canada. I can't believe you freaking put that fish back. That would have been, I'd have eaten that fish and got her up with you. What the heck were you thinking? I mean, cussed out.
Yeah.
I bet I've gotten 50 messages. I can't believe that's such a dumb thing to do. What were you thinking? You ruined your client's day. My client voluntarily released that first off.
I didn't make him do it.
Yeah. But I think as long as we have that many people with that mentality, it's a bit of a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, and I don't know that we have enough information at this point for me to tell you if it is sustainable or not.
Yeah. To say one way or the other.
Yeah.